Hello, everyone. Welcome to the series named Conversation with Kushal once again. Today, we have a very special guest amongst us who is a multi talented person. So, by multi talented, I mean it completely. And let me just introduce him. So, we have Viren Rajani with us. He is a rank holder, chartered accountant, and CFA by qualification. He is currently buy side investment professional at the Mumbai office of Kedara Capital. Before this, he worked at the Boston Consulting Group for 3 years in their India, US, and the Europe offices. He was the global ambassador at the CEO's office for the year 2019, which is itself one of a huge achievement. He has also been teaching CFA aspiring students for more than 5 years. And when he's not at work, he loves to read, write, travel, and experience various cultures and cuisines. Apart from this, he is a state level cricket player, a 100-meter record holder, and have authored a book named as Demystifying Tax for the Common Man, which is already a bestseller and has sold around 6,000 copies. So thank you so much, Viren, for accepting my invitation and coming up on the show. It indeed is an honor for me to interact with a person like you.
Always a pleasure, Kushal, and thank you so much for the kind words. I mean, you put it more better than it actually is. So thank you so much for this.
No worries. So let's begin the conversation, Viren. So could you just brief us
Sure.
about your CA journey?
Yeah. So to everyone here, I'm from Chennai. I've been born and raised in Chennai, and as like most of us who are in the field of commerce or later after science decide we want to go into commerce, CA is one of the paths which most of us like to take. So in that case, it was a very simple, like I would say, journey. Started off with CPT, got through, was fortunate to get a rank. Then IPCC, I split it. I wrote in two groups because I was also playing cricket that time. So I took group one and then group two. And then in final again, I got a rank and I was fortunate to get a rank over there as well. I did my articleship at DVS Advisors LLP, which is one of the marquee tax and M&A firms, also in India and abroad. They have about 5, 6 offices in India and abroad. So yeah, that's in
All right.
short a bit of what I
Yeah.
did during my CA journey.
Sounds awesome. So you got a rank in your CA finals as well. So how did your CA final
Yeah.
rank impact your career?
Yeah. And so the answer I'll give you is quite a bit dated, and things have moved on from there. So I'll just cover it when I got a rank. So there are two things, right? One is your normal placements,
Hmm.
which happen through the ICAI, and one which is out of the campus, which the companies directly call you.
Hmm.
Being a rank holder at times is fortunate. I would say for the simple reason that you get slightly more opportunities at your initial stage.
Hmm.
So say for instance, as you would also had witnessed, given your AIR 5 as well in the final, that the top management consulting firms, investment banks, conglomerates, etc., call you for their interviews.
Hmm.
So I think yes, it does at your initial stage of your career. It does open a wide multitude of opportunities in addition to campus placements.
All
So
right.
yes, it is definitely a very important. I mean, I would say for me it was very crucial, and it opened a lot of doors for me. Yeah.
All right. So then you must have applied in the ICI campus placements, off campus placements. So you got offers from which companies? Like how many companies?
Yeah, so I had applied to the campus placements as well, but in my attempt, we had got the interviews lined up outside of campus,
Hmm.
and they had taken place even before the campus placements. So
Okay.
I was fortunate to have got an offer from BCG,
All right.
Aditya Birla Group's FLP,
Okay.
as well as the investment banking arm of Citibank. So
Oh,
they
that's
were
awesome.
in it just happened in 1 week.
Okay.
All these three final interviews happened in
Hmm.
1 week.
Hmm.
And then what happened was the next Monday was the campus placement. So I'd got these three offers. I
Hmm.
thought, okay, and I was inclined to taking these offers, one of the three. So I thought, let me not go to campus placements.
Yeah.
If I'm not taking, let me help the other friends to get through.
Yeah, it might have been an amazing feeling, an amazing week. Like you got offers from all the three dream companies where students usually want to get in.
Yeah, it so happened, right? No one really knows how and when you get selected.
Yeah,
So
right.
it was Monday, it was BCG, Tuesday it was Aditya Birla, and Friday it was Citibank. So it was like
Awesome.
that. Was
So you
fortunate.
right. So you got offers from ABG, Citibank, and BCG. So what made you choose management consulting over the other two profiles?
Yeah, when you have a problem of plenty, I think it's a good problem to have, but also puts the sort of pressure on someone that, what happens if you don't choose the right one. And
Right.
I'm sure most of us would have been in that sort of boat at some point in time, right? If not for job offers, it's for something else.
Right.
So I'll tell you the thought process I followed, and it may or may not apply to everybody, but I think the simple thought process was, what do I want to do 5, 6 years down the line?
Hmm.
um, should I continue in a certain field, or should I build certain skill sets which are transferable?
Hmm.
In that case, just applying that same sort of framework, I narrowed it down to say whether I do management consulting or investment banking, because
Hmm.
in either of the cases you have good number of client exposure. In one case, in management consulting, you're on the ground, have to understand the business more deeply.
Right.
In investment banking, you have to understand it more from the finance angle, from a macro angle, and to understand how do you help the company in that way to best raise money, either equity or debt.
Right.
Uh, to me, I wanted to learn a lot more on the business side, because I
Hmm.
think I knew a bit of finance
Hmm.
at that point. And given that we are CAs, we definitely know some amount of finance, if not more.
Yeah.
So I was inclined to learn something which was completely new to me,
Hmm.
and which I felt would add a lot of value, because when you really see problems on the ground and solve them, that's
Hmm.
far more impactful as a person when you get to see all these things live, right? Because we have only read books and we only see things happening on the book. But when you go down there, someone tells you, help me improve my profitability,
Hmm.
or when there are a lot of constraints, or help me, improve my revenue when I'm already hitting a 20% revenue
Hmm.
CAGR year on year. And when
Yeah.
I hit the peak and I can't do anything more, I have to drive it by volumes, not by
Hmm.
price alone.
Hmm.
So, those sort of problems are very interesting. And say, just for instance, say I want to start a business.
Hmm.
I'm ready to put in about a 500 to 1,000 crore investment. Tell me how I should structure it.
Hmm.
That sort of feeling, I think, was trumped the fact of the other opportunity that I got, and
Right.
I chose to do this. And I was once you look down the line 3 years back, definitely feels like a very good choice that I made.
Awesome. Awesome.
So,
So
yeah.
you got into BCG finally. So could you just share us about your interview experience at BCG and how you were able to crack it? You can share some of
Sure.
your
So,
interview preparation techniques as well.
of course, so happy to do that, and it's a very relevant question, I would say.
Yeah.
So let me break this down into like sort of two parts, right? So
Hmm.
when I was an interviewee, and then I got to manage the recruitment also. Say for your attempts, or 2, 3 attempts
Hmm.
before 2, 3 attempts before your attempt as well.
Oh,
I
awesome.
got to manage to understand and select people into BCG. So let me give you both the sides of the table.
Yeah, sure, sure.
The first part, the first part was when you started off, when you get a rank, BCG reaches out to you.
Yeah.
And this is if you get a rank at either of the levels, CPT, IPCC, or final.
Hmm.
They reach out to you, ask you for your CV,
Hmm.
and they do an initial shortlist. Now, the good thing here is once after I got in, and a few things which we had changed more strongly we also started including people who did not get a rank, but
Okay.
who had good work ex and had a good profile.
All right.
So you would have also seen, even in you or few attempts before you also, there would have been
Hmm.
definitely a few people who did not get a rank but got through a BCG or got through shortlists, etc.
Right.
So for anyone who's seeing this interview now, it should not be like only if you're a rank holder you'll get into BCG. Even if
Yeah.
you're a non-rank holder, feel free to reach out to folks at BCG with
Right.
the right CV, and if they feel you're the right fit, you would definitely get through the shortlist.
Right. Thanks for
Uh,
clarifying this myth.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's very important, right? Because
Yeah,
everyone thinks it's
absolutely.
only, but that's what I was saying. It's 3 years back, it may have been, but now it's definitely not.
Right.
So it's open for everybody. Yeah, who meet the skills, who meet the right fit. So yeah, that was the first thing. Now, in terms of interview tips, it's very simple, I would say.
Hmm.
What BCG checks, if you're with a client, can you think through logically? Because
Hmm.
you're going to be put on the ground with the client. It's not like someone going to, yes, there will be people who will mentor you,
Hmm.
oversee your operations, etc. But ultimately, when things get going, you will be expected in say 1, 2, 3 years down the line to be with the
Hmm.
client and drive problems. And
Right.
that's the real definition of success as well, right? For your career, you want to take ownership end to end.
Right.
So there are, I would say, a few things which they would check. One is logical thinking and structured thinking. Say if
Hmm.
you're given a problem, are you directionally going the right path? Are you following the right path? Are you good with math? Can you structure a few things relatively simply? Yes or no? Can you break down that? And at the end of it, can you synthesize and give them a correct recommendation? So that is basics, which is problem solving, which includes quick math as well. So brush up a bit on your math skills. And this is just basic math, right? Nothing too difficult to fathom, which is basic addition, multiplication, division, and subtraction.
Okay, it's like mental mathematics.
Just, yeah, very basic mental math, like what say a 8th grader or a 10th grader would need to do. Nothing beyond that.
All right.
Yeah. Then your structured thinking, then your ability to communicate what you think in a way that can be comprehensible. And it's not about using fancy language. It's about using simple language to convey how you think.
All right.
Yeah. And then obviously the last thing is you should be a bit more forthcoming and the most important thing is you should have end-to-end ownership. Now, if you take something, you should think of how you charter your path through that. And then you get done. That I think CAs are, at least as a community, I can definitely tell that end-to-end ownership is something which is there, and client interaction skills are something which are there inbuilt in CA, because for 3 years we interact a lot with clients.
Absolutely.
To get a lot of things done. And unless we take end-to-end ownership, you may not even clear your CA exams, because it's not like a college, right? Once you get in, you get out. It's not like that. You have to decide you'd have to decide a lot of things, to take which classes, to decide who to go for classes, how to decide. In my case, like, don't go for classes at all, go for a few classes. So yeah, I think CAs are very apt, and CAs have traditionally done very well at BCG.
Yeah, sounds fascinating as well.
And so then on the other side, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, you were saying something.
Yeah, so on the other side, as an interviewer, I think things never changed. It was the same thing. We looked for the same things, which is logical thinking, quick math, then end-to-end ownership, good communication skills. Like, if you have these 4 in place, you're through.
Right. Get it. So yeah, we've discussed about the skills which are needed in order to get into these top firms as well. So you were fortunate enough to get into BCG. So let's discuss your work profile over there. So what exactly does a management consultant does, and how has this industry shaped your personality?
Sure. Yeah, I'd take them into 2 parts. What is management consulting done?
All right.
And the second part is how has it shaped my personality?
Yeah.
Right. So I would say a management consultant is the way to explain it is very simple. There are 2 parts to it. One is on the strategic front, and one is on the implementation front. So on a strategic front, what does it do? It's a real world business problem where you have the ability to impact a lot of lives. It can be for a commercial purpose, or it can be in the social impact segment as well. Given a problem, you have to frame a strategy and get it back. That's on the strategy front. On the implementation front, it is again simple. You're either given, say, on the revenue side, on the front end, you're given to improve revenue, or to improve the go-to-market capabilities, to improve the branding or the marketing activities, or just sales force effectiveness, anything. Or on a cost reduction side, you have to reduce a certain element of cost, be it manpower, raw materials, anything.
Okay.
So this is what a management consultant does, which is, one, provides strategic inputs. Second is when it comes to implementation, get things done. As simple as that. I think I hope that answers the first part.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second part is how it has shaped my personality. I would say it enhances a lot of things. One, definitely when you get in as a 22, 23-year-old freshly minted chartered accountant, you see, you would look up to all the people you would read in the Economic Times, right? So say CEOs of the top companies, or even people at BCG who are partners, who you would read what they have done in the Economic Times, etc. Now to go there to the clients and tell them, you know what, you're say, okay, you are 22, 23 years old, but then your experience is far more than my age, right? But then going there, having a very intellectually honest conversation with them and giving them a recommendation which they feel is right, I think it calls for a lot. At that point in time, it gives you a certain extent of confidence that, you see, if your first principles thinking is right, and if you have logic, people would definitely, and if you put it the right way, because it's very important, right? You should have a balance of IQ and EQ. You can be the smartest,
Right.
but if you're not if you don't put it the right way, people will never listen to you. So it's just having that balance of IQ and EQ.
Right.
That's one thing which I feel, okay, yes, before probably I was decent at an IQ level. BCG is further bolstered that IQ sort of construct in me, and EQ significantly has improved because your business is just effectively meeting, recommending, working with people day in and day out who are far more experienced than you.
Right.
So that's the first thing. Second thing is, you, although there is a certain end-to-end ownership, but here it's far more, I would say, it's enhanced by many times because you have to get things done. It's under pressure and you have timelines. It's not a very open timeline. You have to get things done. You have to get things done. So
Right.
end-to-end ownership is the second thing. And then I would say the most important thing is to really communicate succinctly and very as succinctly if needed, and to communicate in depth as required. So yeah.
Right.
So if
Glad.
if there's something, I could tell it to you in a sentence, or I could take a day to tell it to you. It depends on the
Right.
audience. So communicating to the audience, I think these three things, although it is very cliche, but it sounds cliche, but to get there, I think management consulting has taught me a lot, and it's been more or less a very dream run, if I were to say,
Yeah.
at BCG for me.
Yeah. Sounds
Yeah,
very
much more
interesting as
supportive.
well. Yeah. So speaking about the CEO ambassador thing, also, as I mentioned in the
Yeah,
introduction, that you were
yeah,
the CEO ambassador for 1 year in the year 2019. So what exactly is a CEO ambassador, if you were to guide our viewers, and how
yeah,
that particular CEO ambassador helped you, and what kind of exposure you got when you were the CEO ambassador?
yeah. So CEO ambassador program, I would say, is one of the, I would say, the best programs that I have seen at BCG.
Hmm.
In addition to a few other programs that I've been a part of.
Hmm.
Here, what happens is globally, about 10 to 12 people across the globe and across all cohorts, right?
Hmm.
Right from, say, an associate, senior associate, consultant, project leader, and even principal. So, from all these cohorts
Hmm.
across the globe, 12 people are selected, 10 to 12 people are selected.
Okay.
And they get to work with people, yeah, and they get to work with people in the Global Executive Committee. So the Global Executive Committee at BCG is about, say, the top, say about 10 to 15 odd people across the globe
Hmm.
who represent the various geographies of BCG, and it's headed by the CEO, who's Mr. Rich Lesser,
Hmm.
and he oversees the entire Global Executive Committee. So
Right.
in, I would say, when I was an associate, it was hardly about 15 months when I had been into BCG.
Hmm.
And here the top, given that the key criteria to apply itself is you should be a top performer, top 10% of the cohort that
Okay.
you are. And from there, about say 3,000 odd applications go in, and from there 12 odd get selected.
Awesome. Awesome.
Um,
Heartiest congratulations for
so,
this. Yeah.
thanks. Yeah. So from there, you get to work with senior leaders, and
Hmm.
these leaders are people who are senior partners plus plus,
Hmm.
right? So they'll be head of the, say, head of Asia, head of, say, Europe, North
Hmm.
America, etc. And then there would be people who work directly with the CEO and through the body. So I was lucky
Amazing.
enough to work on topics which touch base directly with the CEO, Mr. Rich Lesser, and
Right.
also the Chief of Staff, Brett Paulson. Worked directly with them on a few very engaging topics, and it was it was initially to be say a 6 to 9 month stint, but went on for about a year almost. So there it was amazing, right? So you get to directly meet the CEO of BCG, work with him
Right.
very, very closely, and then you get to present to the executive committee while you're like about 24, 25 years
Yeah.
old. You get to speak to such accomplished people in the room, and you get to work with them on a daily basis, solving really, really tough problems.
Right.
And of course, the perks are you get to travel to the US, you get to travel Europe, you basically get to travel everywhere, enjoy the best of life, enjoy the best of work, work with the best of people. So it could not have
Amazing.
got better.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds very,
Yeah,
very interesting. And like even with the words we like even
it
we
is.
can,
It's very
yeah,
cool.
we can also like really like how amazing exposure you might have got in those offices as well. Great. So your PCG experience we
Yeah.
have discussed now. In the introduction, I also said that you have been teaching CFA aspirants for more than 5 years. So this was a common question from many students as well in the community post when I had uploaded. So what value does a
Okay.
CFA add over a chartered accountant?
Sure. So I think it's a very, very relevant question, and it's a very good question to people who are considering doing CFA
Yeah.
in addition to CA, or who have done CA and what should I, how can I position it better?
Hmm.
I think very simply, right? What does CA do? All of us know. It is a wide sort of array of subjects, right? From accounting to information technology or the new tax law,
Hmm.
the direct tax, or whatever
Hmm.
you want to call it, right?
Right.
CFA is far more focused on the finance front from
Hmm.
I would say, a valuation perspective,
Hmm.
more public markets, or even to a small extent, alternative investments, which is the private markets.
Hmm.
That being said, how does this bolster what your CFA, what your CA degree, or say the CA qualification gives you? Is very simple, right? It tells your employer, your potential employer, that you're serious about you're serious about the domain of finance.
Hmm.
And in addition to CA, which is being right from accounting, auditing, tax, everything,
Hmm.
you have demonstrated the willingness to go out there and learn a bit more about finance as well.
Right.
So now, how does that help, and in which I would say professions does it help a lot? One, definitely, I would say in the public markets domain, like most of us are in, most of the CAs are in equity research
Hmm.
or investment banking.
Hmm.
Then you could say in private equity, if you a few years down the line, if you don't get in there initially, like as a fresher, it's sort of difficult to get into private equity. I would say a few have
Hmm.
done it, but to get into the marquee firms, it is slightly difficult.
Hmm.
Then few years down the line, definitely it helps you because you have demonstrated that, okay, you like finance and you
Hmm.
want to do it because you want to be a part of the industry.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think even in the mutual fund segment, etc. So primarily finance focused domain, which has access to say which where valuation is sort of important.
Right.
I would definitely say CFA proves to be that edge. And
Right.
let's not forget, it's one of the toughest exams to pass in the world. So that
Yeah.
tells again a lot about you. So
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. Agree with this. So thanks for sharing this information as well. Since I thought like you have been
yeah.
teaching CF aspirants, you would be the best person to answer this question as well. So thanks
I
for
hope I
this.
answered it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So now finally you're
yeah,
working in a private equity firm, which is Kedara Capital. So like why did you switch
yeah.
to private equity and how is your work profile different from management consulting?
So when you do management consulting, what's the natural extension, right? Once you have learned about the businesses, you learn how things go on ground.
Hmm.
One, there are three options, right? One is you continue with the firm.
Hmm.
Second is you go out for a sort of corporate role, where on a strategy sort of a role.
Hmm.
Third is you can either get into a private equity.
Hmm.
The simple reason being, and also it's about the choice of which private equity you get into, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And in my case, because Kedara itself, when you just open the website of Kedara and also you see the lineage at Kedara,
Hmm.
it is an operationally focused private equity firm. And
Okay.
the top three at Kedara, Mr. Manish Kejriwal, Mr. Sunish Sharma, and Mr. Nishant Sharma also,
Hmm.
all of
Hmm.
them are ex-consultants from
All right.
McKinsey who have gone to private equity and then have come here to be managing partners.
All right.
So in that case, where I just that I felt it was a natural fit, and it
Hmm.
was an extension because to give you a bit more detail into this, what do we do in private equity, right? We assess situations,
Hmm.
assess assets, whether they make sense for us to invest, and whether we are able to give the returns which are commensurate to what our investors would look for.
Right.
As simple as that, right? And we also once we invest in an asset, given we are a very strong operationally focused fund, we
Hmm.
also help in the portfolio management.
Hmm.
So in
All
that
right.
case, consulting definitely helps in two ways. One, when you think of or when you potentially evaluate investing in an asset, you make a model, right? You think about the
Right.
business, that's the most important thing. Second thing is you make a model.
Hmm.
Now, when you make that model, there are assumptions which go in, right?
Hmm.
When you make
Right.
any financial model, there are assumptions that go in. Now,
Right.
what happens in such cases when you're on the ground? Do you know what's happening? Definitely yes, and your
Yeah.
assumptions become far more richer and closer to reality. Just say,
Right.
for instance, I'm taking some company, right? Just say some fintech or some company. I'm telling, okay, the management is telling, say, it's going to grow 1,000%. But when you know on the ground, okay, 1,000% is not going to happen. It's going to be some, forget 1,000%, say 100, 150%.
Hmm.
Then you say, okay, no, 150% may not happen because of, say, XYZ reasons when you try to triangulate with the market.
Hmm.
Now, management consulting helps you there because market sizing is one of the biggest things which you do on
Right.
a daily basis in management consulting.
Okay.
And then, so you're far more richer. It
Hmm.
enhances your decision making ability because you've been on the ground and you
Hmm.
can, it helps a lot over there. And then second part is which is, portfolio operations.
Hmm.
There, in my view, once you do management consulting, you can add
Hmm.
far more value because that was what you had done as a management consultant, which is
Right.
helping your clients.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I felt private equity is a natural extension, and Kidara is such for me because it is an operationally focused fund.
Right.
So,
Get it. Get it.
yeah.
So yeah, I can say that management consulting was a ladder kind, like a ladder kind of a thing, wherein you just climbed it and then you ultimately reached out to private equity. So I can like say
Yeah, you
this.
can say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
So get
course.
it. So you've worked in a private equity and you've also worked in a management consulting. So we know like you have been working for longer hours, almost like you have like you might have worked for 12, 15 hours a day in a week or even more than that, of course. So how do you manage your time? Like you were a state level cricket player, you were an athlete, a 100-meter record holder. You've also authored a book of Demystifying Tax for a Common Man, and you've sold 6,000 copies. How do you get time to do these kind of activities when you're slogging yourself in work?
Yeah, so I would say it is two things, right? One, it is about the discipline.
Hmm.
Second is about having that sort of habit to take out time for yourself in
Hmm.
addition to work.
Right.
If I were to say, right, I mean, it's very, just to put it very simply, when I was a kid, in
Hmm.
addition to studies, I used to play sports.
Hmm.
So then, if you were to say, studies replace work replaces studies after a while.
Right. Right.
So I would say that's a pretty natural extension for us, right?
Right.
And say when you're a student, you play sports. So that
Right.
helps you. People tell you, right? When you play something, go out and play as a kid. Your parents would tell you, or just do something in studies because it helps free up your mind.
Hmm.
That's what we look at in work-life balance even today.
Right.
So I think that's how I would put it. That's the first part, right?
Hmm.
So do you have a pattern, or were you always studying the whole day as a kid? Definitely not. I mean, I can tell that for all of us, right? Even the most studious sort of people, they would definitely go out to play, or
Yeah.
they would call their friends, chat a bit, etc. Right?
Agree.
And it's about maintaining that same discipline. So when you finish as a student to becoming a professional, it's about
Hmm.
maintaining that same discipline. Now, just say for
Hmm.
instance, right?
Hmm.
I want to, when I was working on my book, I was actually working very long hours on a very stressed project at BCG,
Okay.
um, which were about 15, 16 hours, no
Oh.
weekends off.
Okay.
So
So not even
yeah,
on
yeah.
weekends you got an off.
Yeah, that was, I would say, the one-off case. It's been, I
Okay.
mean, usually you get the weekend off in most times, but this was just one
Mm-hmm.
of those cases, and it
All
happens
right.
everywhere, right? It happens everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yes, I could have shelved the idea of doing this book 3, 4 years down the line, and you never know,
Mm.
I would have never written it,
Yeah.
right?
Get it.
So what I did was I took out every Saturday, I would say 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Mm.
Every Saturday, Sunday, I
Mm.
would take out 2 hours.
Mm.
And then Monday to Friday, I would take out 1 hour.
Okay. All
Say
right.
that could say, okay, you can get where you're getting 8 hours of sleep or 7 hours of sleep, you'll get
Mm.
6 hours of sleep, which is
Right.
fine, I think, right? To maintain a certain work-life balance,
Mm.
you would obviously have to manage things well, and it's all about having a habit and having a discipline. I would say if those two things are managed well, right? If
Mm.
about having this habit, like, okay, I block my time that say 5 to 7, I have to do some, I have to go
Mm.
out with say my friends
Mm.
for say a drive or anywhere. I
Mm.
would do that from 5 to 7. And what happens, which is unfortunate, is we assume that as freshers, we
Mm.
don't have an option of telling our seniors, but that definitely is not the case. Everyone respects
Okay.
your time. At least
Right.
I've been fortunate while during my articleship days. even at BCG, even at Kidara, if I tell them I have to step out for these 2-3 hours, they'll be like, yeah, it's fine. And that's where end-to-end ownership also comes, right? In a way. So it all ties back, because if you tell you're going to get something done, you get it done. How you manage it is on you.
Right.
I would say work-life balance, a lot of people crib, but it's only about these two things in my view, right? One is having the discipline. Second is, when you have the discipline, make it a habit. So I think if you balance these two things right, and then work-life balance definitely falls in place.
Absolutely.
That's my 2 cents.
Completely agree with you. Thanks for this. So you also authored the book. You just said that you used to take out time and you have authored a book. So could you just tell us more about the book, like what the book contains and who's the target audience for that book?
Yeah. Thank you for asking this question again. So while I was a CA student, or while I was at BCG also, a lot of people used to tell, it's so difficult, taxes, we can't understand a head or tail of it. And this was while I was a student also. A lot of my, say, friends or colleagues or even clients used to say the same thing. But now what happens is, both of us know after reading it, it's not so difficult. Right? It's about having the right pieces in the right places. That's it. And just structuring something which looks very difficult. The fact is, yes, it is draconian by legacy. But the other thing is, if you wrap your head around it, it's not so difficult. We had done a short survey. We had done a survey for about 2,500 to 2,700 odd people across the country to ask them if this is really a problem or no. And say an overwhelming response, about 97% of them told me, we can't understand it because it's too tough for us to digest, and we don't think we'll ever understand it. So that was, your aha moment. Okay, fine. No, we should do it. There's definitely a market. And 3 things, right? So one is the CA students. Second is people who are in the salaried segment. And the third bucket is people who are businessmen, CEOs, etc. Now you have to give this in a digestible format, right? So because say it's like you go on a 2-3 hour flight, you finish it off. That's why I say the contents are about 110, 120 odd pages. The content part. The total book is about 135 odd pages, but this is about 120 odd pages. And is very illustrative. It has all tables, it breaks down everything, and has a summary also at the end. And to be really, really, really upfront with you about this, I never thought I would sell more than 200 copies. Because you're a first-time author, and there's just so much pressure, and people do a lot of investment in digital marketing. All that I had done zero investment in all of these digital marketing. I thought I thought it was a problem which has to be solved, and I thought if I'd put it out there, at least 200 people would buy. And I was really surprised to see what happened really. And I hope it does better also, because the cause, like, as you would also know, like 100% of the proceeds are going towards for a charity. And there's nothing that I'm keeping myself. So even so we have managed to raise about 3 odd lakhs, which has been donated. So it's a very good feeling, I would say, in addition to work, right? Because it's your knowledge, you're helping to help people more. So I think
I completely agree on this as well. Like, if the society has given us so many things, it's our responsibility also to give something back to the society. So I completely agree with this, and like, kudos to you for your initiative and for authoring the book as well. It is going to help a lot of people. So thanks Viren, for coming out here and sharing your insights. Any last message which you would like to give to all the viewers?
Sure. I would say, that's actually a very sort of interesting and open-ended question. So I'll take about a minute to answer this.
Sure.
So the first thing, right, I would say, don't put too much pressure on yourself, and don't think, rank is the only way. The industry has evolved so much that you should never take too much stress about if you don't get a rank, what happens. If you're doing the right things, you can get through. And I would say have just 3 things in mind, which I say sort of my key sort of pillars when I take things, right? Which is, one is passion, second is purpose, third is people. So you have the passion to do things. You have a very strong purpose towards what you're doing it, and you do it with the right people and for the right people. So if I were to say everything across this, right from BCG, or right even to the fact I've written the book, right? Writing and reading is my passion. I had a purpose to really help. There was a purpose beyond just educating people, was to help people at the NGO side, and a very topic which has a very lack of funds today, which is breast cancer for women in rural India. So that is very underfunded today and is a big problem in the country. And the third thing is people, right? So you do it for the right people. And I had a very good team with me. There are two people. One is Karishma, another was Chandra Sai. So they helped me a lot in this book.
Okay.
So I think that's it, right? Passion, purpose, and people.
Awesome.
Probably the last thing I would say is, as freshers, we always get stressed, right?
Yeah.
Will this firm take me? Will this company take me? Is it the right firm or no? So I would always say, for a successful career, it has to work both ways. One,
Yeah.
a successful career is like a successful relationship, right? So it has to work both ways. It's not one-sided, right? So
Yeah.
you have to fit to the culture of the firm, which the firm assesses, and then the firm's culture should fit what you like. I would
Yeah.
say that is the most important thing. That's one of the
Absolutely.
things I would say while choosing DVS advisors, while choosing BCG, as well as choosing Kidara. That was the most important thing which I had kept in my, which was under consideration for me.
All right.
So that's one thing which, as freshers, we never think. We think like, no, this company is God and we should get in and that's it. But to really succeed, you should definitely check whether the company's culture matches what you want. And
Right.
I would say, I would leave you guys with this.
Yeah.
I would say,
Absolutely.
please think a bit deeply about this, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure this will be an input to your success.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Like these are like life-taking advices as well. So even I'll keep these advices in my mind in my professional journey as well. Thank you so much, Viren, for coming out here and taking your time. And it was indeed an amazing interaction with you. So you almost like you solved all the queries which I also had and which all the C aspirants had. So thanks a lot once again for coming up here, and wish you all the best for all your future endeavors and future projects.
Thanks, Kushal. And I must say, it's a very good thing that you're doing because it's very difficult to, arrange all of these things at the background. I know it takes a lot of effort, and despite you being you've just started out working now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of work also which happens, and work reaching out to people, doing these videos. It's a very good thing, I would say. And the last thing is, if there's anyone who needs any help or anything, just feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's the
Yeah,
easiest way I
sure. So
could.
I'll
And if
give
there's
your
anything, I'll be
I'll give your LinkedIn
fortunate. I'll
link
be
in the
considered. Yeah.
description box. I'll share your LinkedIn link
Yeah,
in the
of course.
description box so that they
Of
can reach
course.
out to you
Of
if
course.
they.
Of
All right.
course. Of
Thanks.
course.
Thanks a lot, Viren.
Perfect. Have a good day, Kushal. Take care. Yeah.